So say it with hope and you were sure I couldn't agree that we were meant to be.
Entry 2, the Creative Stoic. We start with a quote from Mr. Ryan Holiday. Anyone doing any kind of creative work is attempting to have an impact and to survive. It's about making something new and hoping people will like it so that you can keep doing it. This process can be lonely, intimidating, and filled with self-doubt. Stoicism is a tool ready to help. Okay, so this is super important to me. On some level, I've always been remotely attached to the principles of Stoicism and how they apply to art in general and specific. There's been a lot of times where I've really struggled with, maybe the readings of scripture or thing that's been very programmed reading like that. I grew up in church at a young age, and reading Ryan Holiday's A Daily Stoic every day has ingrained these principles into my life into a way that I apply to creativity, and they've really helped me to get over some of the struggles that we face as creatives, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I love this quote because it captures a struggle I tend to face and a lot of other creatives I feel face on a near daily basis. Loneliness, intimidation, and self-doubt. I think those are three emotions that travel through our heads a lot when we tend to overanalyze each and every action that we take. Stoicism is something that helps me reframe the intentions behind doing work. By the sheer force of crushing logic, if you think about it, on some level, the art we create, the work that we do, the actions we take are being judged. There's been so many times in my life where I fall under the spell of that, and that's all I focus on. If you're a freelancer, you're doing creative work for the approval of your clients. If you work in an agency, you do creative work for the approval of your superior or your employer. If you create online content, if you're an influencer, you are at the whim of other people. And escaping that is very difficult, and it's a very internal type of struggle. This is why the Stoic principles have been such a lifesaver for me, and why I continue to come back to them every single day. They focus on getting the meaning, the joy, and the fulfillment from taking the actions of doing the thing rather than the external validation or the feelings and emotions that we attach to the end result. With so many eyes and so many critiques and so many people to compare your work to, then it's so easy to get into the trap of just creating for the end result. And that's why having the moral compass of using creativity, engaging in creative work, engaging in work itself as the gateway for embodying the personality that you want to encompass. By doing the thing, by sitting down, taking the actions, you're embodying that personality as a hard worker, a creative. You're not so attached to the external result that lies at the end. And this doesn't mean, having low standards for yourself. This doesn't mean by sitting down and, firing up Illustrator, you say, oh, I'm a creative. But if you look back at your day, you look back at your actions, if those actions could tally up to the personality and the identity you wish to embody, then by the Stoic principles, you have done good work for the day. Half of the work as creatives is mastering the art of showing up, and that's what we do when we sit down to do the work. Ryan Holiday said this thing on the Modern Wisdom podcast that's really resonated with me. Sometimes my friends will ask me, when is the marathon? Can't apply loosely to anything, When is the bodybuilding competition? When is the big show? When is the presentation? But that doesn't take into account the reason you're actually doing the thing. Like, I'm not trying to win at the things that I love and the things that bring me joy and force me discomfort and reason to grow. And that's so applicable to art and design. We don't design all the time for the sake of just a presentation, and that's the trap we fall into. If we only work for the carrot on the end of the stick, we take for granted all the things and the steps that it takes to get there. To Marcus and the other Stoics, we realize our responsibilities as human beings through the work we do and the roles that we play, rather than what lies on the other side of that. As designers and creatives, and as humans in general, we realize this personality through our actions and through the act of just showing up to realize our identities and purpose each and every single day. Scott Perry says this thing in the Creative Stoic online blog. Stoicism encourages me to be a more purposeful and flourishing creative. And creativity helps me approach the meaning of life with a greater sense of craft and appreciation. Another big principle of Stoicism is not having to look external for any source of validation. That's a very overarching theme. Everything that we need should be internal. And as creatives, a lot of our joy, a lot of our work is done internally and then reflecting that externally. And the Stoic idea as it applies to creatives is If we're not okay internally, then there's no way we can create something that others will want to view externally. My closing advice, along with one final quote from Marcus, is to do your best to create and live because you're embodying that personality as a creative, not because of what lies on the other end. Do your best to detach from creating for the sake of others and create for the sake of realizing that it is your purpose and it is a trait that you wish to embody. Meditation 756. Think of yourselves as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Thank you for tuning in to Entry 2 of the Creative Journal podcast. We've got so many good episodes, principles, and guests lined up, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time. Be sure to like and follow on the platform you're listening to, Spotify, Apple Music. From the bottom of my heart, I'm generally grateful for the chance to speak and impact you guys. I'll see you next time.